Close your eyes and try to imagine $1 trillion. Don't just think of the number, try to feel the weight of it. You can't. The human brain isn't wired to understand that level of scale. If you spent exactly $1 every single second, it would take you 31,700 years to reach a trillion. Wall Street just deleted that entire history in less than 6 hours. While you were sleeping, while you were working your 14-hour shifts, while you were distracted by the noise of the mainstream media, the largest systematic execution of wealth in human history was finalized. This wasn't a market correction. This wasn't a glitch in the matrix. This was a controlled demolition. A single shadow movement in the Taiwan Strait, a coded message in a closed-door meeting in Riyadh, and suddenly the digital digits in your bank account became an expensive work of fiction. $1 trillion evaporated. That is more than the combined value of Netflix, Disney, and Coca-Cola liquidated in a single bloody trading session. The anchors on TV will tell you to stay calm. They'll tell you to buy the dip. They are lying to you. They need you to be the exit liquidity while the giants flee the burning building. But you're not here for empty motivations or financial jargon. You're here because you sense the truth. The system just bled. And when the system bleeds, only the sovereigns stay standing. I am sovereign, and in the coming minutes, I will be discussing the autopsy examination of this massacre in detail. I will show you how a military drone in the Pacific popped the AI bubble, how the US dollar was intentionally weaponized against its own people, and why your retirement fund is the next target in this $10 trillion wipeout. Don't blink, because in the world of 2026, reality is only visible when the lights go out. The game is rigged, the fuse is lit, and the trillion-dollar ghost is already in the room. Let's begin. History isn't made by grand speeches. It's made by accidents that aren't actually accidents. On January 29th, 2026, while you were busy checking your notifications, a navigation error occurred in the Taiwan Strait. A single military drone worth less than a luxury apartment deviated from its path. In the Black Sea, a silent pulse of electronic warfare shut down the GPS of a commercial fleet for exactly 12 seconds. To you, it's a footnote on a news ticker. To the algorithms that run the world, it was the firing squad's command. Before the first actual bullet could be fired, the AI-driven high-frequency traders had already executed the sell-off. This is what weaponized finance looks like. They didn't need to sink a ship to sink the market. They just needed to trigger the fear. Think about it. The silicon heart of the global economy, your phone, your car, your hospital's equipment, all flows through a few miles of contested water. When that water gets hot, your portfolio evaporates. Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, these aren't just companies anymore. They are the collateral damage of a new kind of war. Mainstream analysts call this geopolitical tension. I call it the first punch in a $10 trillion street fight. You see, the system doesn't wait for the war to start. The system profits from the anticipation of the massacre. While the masses were debating which side was right, the sovereigns were already liquidating their exposure. Because in 2026, a drone in the Pacific is more dangerous to your bank account than a thief in your house. The spark has been lit, and now the fire is spreading to the one place you thought was invincible, Silicon Valley. You thought the war was about territory? Don't be naive. It's about sand, the silicon sand that runs your entire fake reality. For the last 2 years, they fed you a religion called artificial intelligence. You pumped trillions into Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple. You were told it was the new god, the savior of the economy. You didn't buy a company, you bought a hallucination. A promise of infinite growth built on a single, fragile supply chain stretched across the most dangerous stretch of water on Earth. And when that drone in the Taiwan Strait deviated, the hallucination shattered. The algorithms, the real AI that controls the money, realized the truth in microseconds. There are no AI gods without Taiwanese foundries. The infinite growth narrative didn't just die, it was assassinated by basic geopolitics. Look at the charts. Nvidia didn't just have a bad day, it was executed. Microsoft's trillion-dollar dreams evaporated before the market even opened. What you are witnessing isn't a tech slump. It is the violent repricing of delusion. All those GPUs, all those data centers, all those promises of a utopian future, they are worthless if the silicon stops flowing. The masses are crying over their portfolios right now, wondering why their favorite tech stock betrayed them. The sovereigns? We were shorting the bubble while you were still asking ChatGPT how to get rich. The silicon massacre is here, and the body count is already in the trillions. But if you think the death of big tech is the worst part, you haven't seen what they did to your money yet. For 80 years, the US dollar was the ultimate sanctuary. It was the world's trust, backed by the largest military and the deepest markets. But in 2026, the sanctuary became a prison. You see, money is built on one thing: trust. But when you turn money into a weapon, you kill the trust. By freezing reserves, cutting off swift access, and using the dollar to bully the globe, the gatekeepers did something they can't undo. They showed the world that their money isn't actually theirs, it's just on loan. And now the loan is being called in. We are witnessing the suicide of the dollar. This isn't a slow decay, it's a controlled demolition from the inside out. When the global ledger is weaponized, the world doesn't just get angry, it gets creative. While you were watching the charts bleed, a new infrastructure was being born in the shadows. The dollar is no longer a shelter, it's a target. Every sanction, every frozen account, and every printed trillion has turned the world's reserve currency into a ticking time bomb. Mainstream media calls it economic pressure. I call it financial harakiri. The sovereigns saw this coming. We moved out of the ledger before they closed the gates. Because if you're still holding on to the old weapon when the new war starts, you're already a casualty. The dollar is burning, and in the smoke of its collapse, a new magnet is pulling the world's wealth toward the east. When the house is on fire, you don't save the wallpaper, you grab the gold. As the dollar-led system began its controlled demolition in early 2026, the world's smartest players didn't wait for the fire department. They followed the oldest magnet in human history. While you were being told that gold is a pet rock or an outdated relic, the BRICS nations led by the giants of the East were quietly building a financial fortress. They saw the weaponization of the ledger, they saw the 14-hour shifts of the working class being devalued by the stroke of a central bank pen, and they made their move. This isn't just about gold, it's about a new gravity. Shanghai, Riyadh, Moscow, New Delhi, these aren't just cities anymore. They are the new poles of a multipolar world. They are launching a digital currency backed not by trust or promises, but by the cold, hard weight of physical reserves. They are detaching from the burning ship of Western debt and anchoring themselves to something tangible. The masses are still looking at their digital banking apps, hoping the numbers turn green again. But the sovereigns? We know that in 2026, if you can't touch it, you don't own it. The shift of wealth from west to east is no longer a conspiracy theory, it is a mathematical certainty. The magnet is pulling. Trillions are flowing through secret pipelines, bypassing the old guards. The question is, are you still holding the paper, or are you following the gold? Because as the global vaults lock their doors, the liquidity in your local bank is about to hit a dead end. You check your banking app every morning, you see a number, you feel safe. But here is the truth the gatekeepers never told you. That number isn't your money. It's a digital receipt for a debt that the bank can no longer pay. But here is the truth the gatekeepers never told you. That number isn't your money. It's a digital receipt for a debt that the bank can no longer pay. As that $1 trillion evaporated from the top tiers of the market, it created a vacuum. A liquidity black hole that is now sucking the life out of every local branch and every retail account. While the sovereigns were moving into hard assets, the banks were left holding nothing but ghost collateral and broken promises. In 2026, liquidity isn't just a financial term. It's the difference between freedom and a frozen screen. The banks don't have your cash. They never did. They have your trust. And in this global meltdown, trust is the first thing that went bankrupt. Have you noticed the maintenance windows getting longer? The daily withdrawal limits getting tighter? The random security checks on your own funds? These aren't technical glitches. These are the cracks in a dam that is about to burst. The $1 trillion loss on Wall Street wasn't just a number on a screen for billionaires. It was the foundation of your bank's balance sheet. When the foundation crumbles, the house doesn't just lean, it collapses. And when it does, the reset complete message won't be a software update. It will be the sound of the vault doors locking you out of your own life. The leak has become a flood, and while you're waiting for the ATM to give you answers, the sharks are preparing for the final harvest. By the dip. 3 of the most expensive words ever whispered in the history of finance. As that $1 trillion began to bleed out of the markets in early 2026, the sirens didn't go off immediately. Instead, they gave you a narrative. They told you this was a golden opportunity. They told you the tech giants were on sale. They sent out their influencers and their paid analysts to convince you that the massacre was just a discount. But here is the cold, hard truth. In a collapsing system, the big players don't just exit. They need someone to buy what they are selling so they can escape through the back door. You weren't investing in the future. You were providing the exit liquidity for the elite. While you were using your hard-earned savings, the result of those endless shifts and the sweat of your brow to catch the falling knife, the sovereigns were already on the other side of the trade. We saw the sharks circling. We knew that $1 trillion didn't just disappear. It was transferred from the hopeful many to the calculated few. The dip you were buying wasn't a floor. It was a trapdoor. In the world of 2026, the retail investor is no longer a participant in the market. You are the fuel for the machine. You are the buffer that slows down the fall of the giants just long enough for them to secure their gold. They don't want you to be wealthy. They want you to be the one holding the bag when the lights go out. And as the $1 trillion ghost continues to haunt the exchanges, the bag you're holding is about to get much, much heavier. We live in an age of ghosts. For a decade, they convinced you that pixels were property. They sold you digital scarcity while printing infinite amounts of digital noise. You bought the JPEGs, you staked the speculative coins, and you felt like a genius because the numbers on your screen were turning green. But as the $1 trillion massacre hit the real world in 2026, the ghosts started to vanish. You see, digital wealth is a luxury of a stable world. When the power grids flicker because of military tensions, when the undersea cables become targets, and when the trust that backstops the internet evaporates, your digital vault becomes a digital graveyard, that $50,000 asset in your wallet, it's just code. And code requires a functioning system to have value. While the masses were panic refreshing their apps, trying to sell assets that had no buyers, the sovereigns were looking at the physical world. We knew that in a great reset, the only thing that matters is what you can hold, defend, and trade when the lights go out. The great evaporation isn't just about losing money. It's about the death of a delusion. The era of easy digital millions is over. The $1 trillion that vanished wasn't just taken, it was deleted. It never truly existed. It was a fever dream of a world that forgot what real value looks like. And now that you're awake, you need to see what's being built on the ashes of your old life. Do not mistake a collapse for an ending. In the world of the elite, it is simply a rebalancing. While the masses are mourning the loss of their digital ghosts and their paper promises, a new hierarchy is being forged in the heat of this crisis. 2026 is not just a year of chaos. It is a filter. It is the moment the world separates the dependents from the sovereigns. The final reset is here, but it's not the one they warned you about in the conspiracy forums. It's more subtle. It's the silent transfer of power from those who trust the system to those who understand the system is the weapon. The old guards of Wall Street are being replaced by the architects of the new sovereign order. This is the year where accesses becomes more valuable than ownership, where the ability to move between jurisdictions, to hold assets that the system cannot track, and to remain invisible to the global tax dragnet becomes the ultimate wealth. You see, the $1 trillion that vanished didn't leave the planet. It just changed clothes. It moved into the hands of those who didn't panic when the drones flew or the banks locked their doors. The reset isn't coming to save you. It's coming to harvest the unprepared. But for us, for the sovereigns who saw the spark, who identified the massacre, and who followed the magnet, this isn't the end of the world. It is the end of their world, and the beginning of ours. If you are still watching this, you aren't like the others. The average person turned this off 10 minutes ago. They couldn't handle the weight of the 1 trillion ghost. They went back to their distractions, back to the comforting lies of the mainstream media, hoping that if they ignore the fire, it won't burn their house down. But you stayed because you know that the fire is already in the living room. So, what is the path of the sovereign in 2026? It starts with a radical shift in perspective. You must stop seeing yourself as a consumer or a retail investor and start seeing yourself as a nation state of one. In a world where the dollar is weaponized and banks are black holes, your greatest asset isn't in a brokerage account. It is your autonomy. First, you must diversify not just your portfolio, but your geography. If your life, your money, and your future are all tied to one single jurisdiction, you aren't an investor, you're a hostage. The sovereigns of 2026 move where they are treated best. They hold assets that don't require a password from a central bank to access. They understand that physical gold, decentralized infrastructure, and raw, unhackable skills are the only shields left. Second, you must stop being exit liquidity. When the giants tell you to buy, you look for the exit. When they scream panic, you look for the value they are trying to hide from you. The 1 trillion that vanished today was a tuition fee for the world. Most people failed the class, but you just received the blueprint. I didn't start this channel to give you financial advice. I started it to build a fortress for the minds that refuse to be harvested. In the coming weeks, we will go deeper. We will deconstruct the specific moves to protect your family from the 10 trillion wipeout. We will map the secret pipelines of the new global wealth. The system is bleeding, the game is rigged, but the sovereigns have already won because we know the truth before the lights go out. Subscribe. Join the few who see the world as it is, not as they want you to believe. Because the next $1 trillion won't just disappear, it will be transferred. Make sure you're on the right side of history. I am the sovereign, the reset has begun, and I'll see you in the next report.